So I want to again thank all new subscribers, all the great comments. Really love to hear it all. It's been great, and I'm very much appreciative. This story is about one of my favorite rabbis, Rabbi Akiva. He's a legend in Judaism. Uh, Pretty awesome guy, kind of one of my heroes. And it's really the saying that I originally heard the story from is Gamzu Toiva, which means Gamzu Tova without the Yiddish accent, just means this too is for the good. And it originates with the rabbi Nachum Gamzu, I believe his name was. And because he would always say Gamzu Tova, this too is for the good. And Rabbi Akiva had a very similar saying that a little bit longer and in Aramaic, and so but amounted to basically the same thing. And when I was told this story initially, it was just with the Gamzu Tova, so I'm going to keep it that way for simplicity's sake. But this story is about him going on a journey with his helper, and they go to this town, and they can't get lodging anywhere in this town. Everything's booked. They are trying to get lodgings and everyone turns them away. And so they see off and his helpers like, don't you know who this is? This is Rabbi Akiva. He's a great man. He's a great scholar. Can't you find any kind of accommodations for us? And they're like, no, everything's booked. I don't know what you want us to do. So he looks to the rabbi, and the rabbi says, Gamzu Tova. Like, this too is for the good. So they leave, and they see the edge of the forest is not too far. So like, okay, we'll get some cover in the forest under the trees from the wind, and the bushes and stuff will kind of protect us from the wind. So I guess we'll go and we'll sleep out there tonight. He says, Gamzu Tova. It's good, let's go. So they go out into the forest, and they want to study Torah while they get there and say their evening prayers. And so they light a candle, and the wind keeps coming and getting strong and blowing out the candle. And they light it again. Wind blows again, blows out the candle. And the helper guy gets super frustrated again. It's like, why can't we say our evening prayers? Like, why isn't Hashem protecting us to be able to read with this candle? Rabbi Akiva says, Gamzu Tova. Like, this too is for the good. And in the middle of the night, they had brought everything on a donkey, all their supplies, everything they needed. And they had brought a rooster with them to wake them up early in the morning so they could say their early morning prayers as like the sun's coming up. And in the middle of the night, a predator comes and eats the chicken. And they're like, oh man. And at this point, the helper is freaking out. Oh, there goes our rooster for the morning prayers. But the Rabbi Akiva is completely unshaken by any of this. And he just says, Gamzu Tova. This is for the good. And then in the middle of the night, too, a bigger predator comes and eats their donkey. Kills the donkey and eats it, and quick, they didn't even realize what happened until they realize it's gone and see the trail, and and so even worse, the helper's like, now this is insane, we don't have the donkey to help carry anything, and what are we going to do? Rabbi Akiva, calm as can be, just says, Gamzu Tova, this too is for the good. And in the morning, they wake up and they say their prayers, and they look out over at the village that had turned them away, and there's smoke coming up from all the buildings. And so they're kind of shocked, and they go closer, they look, and raiders had come in the middle of the night and ransacked the village and killed everybody in the town. Everybody. Took everything they had. And so Rabbi Akiva turns to him and say, Gamzu Tova, do you see that everything, had we stayed in this village, we would be dead along with all these people. And the fact they turned us away turned out to be a great blessing. They couldn't find us anywhere to stay, and we lived because of it. And while we were out in the woods, I'm sure the raiders were already scouting the village. Had we had the candle burning to read, they would have seen our candle and perhaps come to see what was going on and killed us. And had we had the rooster making noise and the donkey making noise in the middle of the night, as animals naturally do, they could have heard either one of them and come out and killed us and taken our lives. So despite the fact we had to sleep in the forest, despite the fact that the candle wouldn't stay lit for us, and despite the fact we lost both the rooster and the donkey, Gamzu Latova, this too was for the good. And we're here to tell the tale, to have survived. And so that in our lives is an example that everything happens for a reason. And sometimes we don't always know the reasons, but we just have to trust that it's for the best. Gamzu Latova. That this too is for the good. Even when it's hard to see. It seems like everything's going wrong. Everything's falling apart in our lives. That's the time that we just have to say to ourselves, this too is for the good. Gamzu Latova. Like this too will work out. It's going to work out. And so I wish everyone that blessing of the, just like, even more so than Rishon, which is knowing which hand to pull from. I did a video on that. Kabbalistic practice of knowing when the whole universe is made for us or when we're just dust and breath. It's knowing that in all times that this too is for the good. And as hard as that can seem sometimes, things seem to fall apart. There's a video I'm going to do next, in fact, about hidden and revealed blessings. Everything's a blessing. And so, Gamzu Latova, that even in our hardest times. So I wish everyone the strength and the courage that in the hardest times, when it seems like everything's going wrong, to remember that this too is for the good. Even when we can't see it and we don't understand it, in 2020 hindsight, we'll understand that this too is for the good. And so I wish everyone that strength and that perseverance and that foresight to recognize in these tough situations, Gamzu Latova, this too is for the good. If you have any experiences like that, I would love to hear about them, where it all seems to be falling apart and then it all fell together perfectly and was like meant to be. And any comments, questions, I'd love to hear them as well. And as always, Stu's people, save the humans.
Trying to be a better man. Oh yeah. Trying to do the best I can. Oh yeah. And I'm gonna do right thing. Do right thing. No matter what they want to say. And I'm gonna still fight for you. Still fight for you.